Hello, I'm Pirate Dave. It is another new comic book day, February 11th, 2026. Let's get right into it with my pickups. And it is another new week for the Phantom number 5 from Mad Cave Studios. Of course, I'm picking up all the covers for this series. That cover A is by Freddie Williams II, cover B is by Kanan White, and cover C is by Natasha Bustos. I think Kanan White's my favorite this month, just busting through that windshield, continuing the story that he has going on there. But I always love what Bustos is doing, knocking the heck out of bad guys. Only going to show the first page here. The Phantom's in kind of a bad way from last issue, so whether or not he's going to make it out of it is kind of explored on the second page. You may be able to infer what that means, but I want to get a little bit of the art there. And of course, we've got the Singh Brotherhood. I was a little hesitant on the aesthetic. I was a little critical, I should say, from the first issue, but I have to say it's grown on me. And I think Afif Singh, the character that you see on the front, on the first page there, has been designed ever since he's been introduced well. So very excited to get into this series. Just recently, there was announced a one shot for this series called The Phantom versus the Skyband, which was hinted at a little bit in one of the previous issues. And the Skyband, of course, is the all-female Sky Pirate crew, so I'm looking forward to that in April. Up next, we have Absolute Wonder Woman 2026 Annual. I'm not a big annual guy. Well, I mean, I guess you could say I do buy all of the like Dynamite seasons for Vampirella and the such, but overall, I'm not usually reading too much of the big two, DC and Marvel, so I don't get a whole lot of annuals. Not exactly sure. Um, this is not the same artist, I'm sure, from the main series, but it looks good. You are losing that sort of stylistic aesthetic and that emphasis on Diana's physiology, that Grecian sort of influence. But excited to see what this will bring with it. Don't really know the story. Sorry, I can't give you too much insight into it. Hopefully, those first few pages were insightful on their own. Up next, we have Supergirl number 10. This is Kelly, no, sorry, not Kelly Thompson, Josie Campbell. Kelly Thompson is who usually writes Absolute Wonder Woman. Of course, Josie Campbell is harkening back to Silver Age style, and she's really making use of the thought bubbles in this series. The artist shifted over last month, and it's not too bad. And I mean, what a what an unkind thing to say. It's not bad. It's just a little bit different than what the style of the book has been thus far. It's got a little bit more, I mean, weight to it, right? The aesthetic. It's less campy, less charmy, less throwback than sort of the style that I think that Josie Campbell has been going for. But that being said, I mean, it's not like it's offensive or anything. Joe Quinones, if that's how you say the name, is clearly a talented artist. So I really didn't have a problem with last month's. I'm sure I won't have that much of a problem with this month's. And the story is a little, I mean, the story's a little hard to describe. It's a little teen soap opera, even though Kara's should be well out of her teens by now. Up next, Geiger number 21, and you can see right there the Northerner right on the cover. Of course, Gary Frank always giving us those nice big splash pages to introduce. And you can see Tariq Geiger and the Northerner right there to open. They're going uh, to give it away. If you haven't read last month's issue, they were looking for a little bit of assistance from the future because the Northerner has a cache of weapons that he can call down that he doesn't know where they come from, but this time they've gotten a friggin' tank. So very excited to get into what's going on there. I've been enjoying Geiger thus far, but it's currently getting into the weeds a little bit by introducing the Northerner and expanding into the most the unnamed universe. I'm kind of just excited to get into the unnamed stuff with the first Ghost and all that. If I'm going to be honest with you. Up next, we have G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero, number 325. So this is Larry Hama's G.I. Joe series, a mainline series, not the Energon Universe series, so always keep that in mind. We have Chris Mooneyham returning, thankfully. Maybe some people aren't super down with his aesthetic, but I don't know. I think that the way that he does perspective makes things so much more cinematic and intense. And I just thought the last artist or so for this series, I mean, it was kind of cut and dry. They kind of approached G.I. Joe in a, I don't know, in a very industrialized way, just sort of illustrated the books, didn't really give it a whole lot of scope, didn't give it a whole lot of intensity, just sort of delivering a job, if that makes any sense. Next, we have Babs, The Black Road South, number 2. Last issue, Babs came into a fortune and lost it on a multi-level marketing thing. This one, it opens up with a little bit of Lord of the Rings. Oh, well, we don't need to show that. We don't need a close-up of that there. A little bit of Lord of the Rings satire, and again, that's what this book is all about. It's about having fun with the fantasy genre, leaving no stone unturned. Nobody's safe. It picks on the fans of the genre a lot, but it also delivers the genre. I mean, it delivers Babs and the story behind her pretty lovingly, even though most things are a joke, to be honest, in it. But if you can stomach some Lord of the Rings satire, then this month looks like it's pretty good. Next, we have Something Beyond the Petrichor, number 2. This is not necessarily a new ongoing series. It's just my local comic shop has just been getting it in. I've just realized that I guess it came out months and months ago, midway through 2025. But I did enjoy the first issue, and going into the second, as mentioned, it takes place in the not so distant future, if you want to look at it that way, where acid rain has just absolutely destroyed the world. As far as we know, there's only this one girl that's still alive. And she's still alive thanks to plastic. The plastic is the only thing the acid rain is not dissolving. And of course, she's run into this rain creature that inexplicably can survive in the acid rain, where she only thought plastic could. So the story is actually really great. And, if you haven't read it yet, that doesn't give too much away. Really, you saw from the aesthetic there, and these flashback sequences are much more conventional palettes, but most of the current stuff takes place in this very color theory, blue versus orange, aesthetic. And as you can see from the cover there, it's a lot of solid color work clashing against each other. Very stylized, and the first issue is worth experiencing just for that. Last, for the floppies, we have Vampirella Winter Special 2026, and I guess it's technically still winter. I don't know, when is Groundhog's Day already came and gone. I really don't I really don't keep track on when that comes around. Writer here is Liam Johnson, artist Mark Borstel, and colorist is Jordi Escuan Lorak. Hopefully I said that correctly. And look at that. Absolutely fantastic aesthetic. Man, Mark Borstel. I'm not familiar with the name, but I've got to say, some really amazing work going on. And let's not discount the colorist. Let's get his name again. Jordi Escuan Lorak. Because the color work here is spot on, fantastic. And look at, I mean, I really don't even really want to, I just want to look at it. I just want to look at it. Of course, people have, I think, people underrate Vampirella a lot. She is, of course, a sensuous, sexual character, but you've got some really talented people that step into this book and take a crack at her, and I'm sure just have a ton of fun illustrating and writing for her. Most of the time, these are worth your attention. It's worth giving a shot and seeing how you enjoy Vampirella. She's a character that's lived for decades, for more than just the two reasons. Lastly, this is a recent acquire. I already shared a post on League of Comic Geeks regarding this, but I was very excited for it. This is Mort Cinder, written by Hector Guillermin Westerheld and illustrated by Alberto Breccia. Breccia. Not exactly sure. This, I mean, Fantagraphics, absolutely beautiful, cushioned hardcover, that gold foil on the cover. This book is about the title character Mort Cinder. He is immortal. He has lived through many thousands of years, not without dying. He does die and he is reborn. We're first dropped into the story following this character Ezra, who is a antique dealer, and Ezra is inexplicably drawn to Mort, uh, introduced to him through one of the antiques that's brought into his shop. And the stories are very much an analysis of how memory pervades through human history. And that's not to say, and sorry, the orientation changes a little bit. This orientation shift only lasts about 50 pages of the little over 200 pages that happen in this book. The story is mostly about how memory perseveres. Mort Cinder himself isn't necessarily a conventional hero. He's not always saving the day, and victory is not always won. Often he's just an observer and he makes no judgment. Of course, sometimes you know, he does intercede when he feels something truly goes against moral certainty, but in other situations, it's really a book that's about survival and the survival of memory, which is actually a little bit ironic. Hector Guillermin Westerheld tragically was disappeared during the militant fascist state that occurred in Argentina in the 70s. So uh, this was written in the 60s, 62 to 64. In many ways, it's a little prophetic in terms of, how Westerheld's name would be remembered. So I wouldn't say that you would necessarily pick this up if you're interested in some sort of, uh, treatise, or I don't know really what the word I'm looking for, some sort of commentary on the fascist uprising in Argentina. That's probably more appropriately his next book, which is The Eternaut, which has been advertised as being turned into a Netflix show recently. But this one will certainly touch on the idea of survival of memory, especially since he was disappeared. And what the fascist state did during that time was that they took your entire family, they tried to erase you from history, they tried to do everything. So it's really ironic that he made a story that was so dedicated to the varied nature that is memory, both for better and at times for worse. Um, I can't say I recommend this book too much. It is very cost prohibitive at this point. I had to pay $90 for this copy, and it's not in perfect condition. It's got a little bit of an indentation in the back. There's a little pen mark up there, and $90 was a great deal because it usually sells for around 150, if not more. However, Fantagraphics did recently reprint The Eternaut, thanks to the popularity from the show. So hopefully they'll do a reprinting of Mort Cinder here, and just keep an eye on for that. If the artwork looks interesting to you, if the premise sounds interesting, if you really like deconstruction of, you know, the nature of a hero and the perspective of victory versus survival, there's a reason why Fantagraphics so lovingly binded this book in the first place. It really is, you know, right there on the back, it talks about before Mike Mignola, before Frank Miller, there was Brescia. And I mean, between the writing, between the art, this is really one of those books you should seek out if you are interested in more philosophical, more political angled graphic novels, sequential art. That's it for me this week. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep from me ranting about Mort Cinder. Just very excited to have the book, obviously. I hope that you have a great week ahead of you, and I will see you next time. Bye.